Join ForumIAS Academy, trusted by hundreds of toppers, including IAS Rank 1 Shruti Sharma.
Good evening, aspirants. Welcome to the Hindu News Analysis discussion brought to you by ForumIAS for the date 15th March 2023. So these are the list of news articles for today's discussion. We will be covering 5 topics from polity, international relations, governance and economics. There is also a news regarding the AU-KUS deal, but since we have discussed it in our previous discussions, we are not going to discuss it today. And if you want to know more about the news, you can go to the previous day's discussion and you can watch it. And today we will be once again covering the Iran-Saudi Arabia deal for more clarifications. And at the end of the discussion, we will also see 2 previous year prelims questions and also a mains practice question. With this, straight away, let us move to the first article. Supreme Court to hear Telanganas appeal against governor. See, the Telangana government has filed a petition in the Supreme Court against the state governor Tamilisai Soundararajan for creating a constitutional deadlock. Here, the government alleges that the governor is refusing to act on several bills that are passed by the state legislature. And now this is in news because the Supreme Court has agreed to hear the case and has also listed the case for the month of March 20th. And here, the state government has requested the Supreme Court to declare such inaction and failure to comply with constitutional mandate by the governor as highly irregular and illegal. So in this context, let us know about the role of the governor and also about the Article 200 that is often in news. See, the Article 153 to Article 162 of the Indian Constitution consist of relevant provisions related to office of governor. And know that the governor is the head of the state who is directly appointed by the President of India. And the governor acts as per the advice of State Council of Ministers. By acting as a critical link between the union and the state government, the governor is considered as a nominee of central government. And over the years, the office of the governor has been used to serve political gains by the ruling party at the center. And so, various terms like agent of the center, puppet, and rubber stamps have been frequently used to describe the governor of the state. Despite these allegations and criticism, the office of governor is crucial for smooth functioning of the democracy. So, maintenance of national interest, integrity and internal security advocates central supervision for which a governor is required in the state. Then coming to the qualifications, know that there are 2 conditions that are required for a person to be eligible to become a governor. First is he or she should be an Indian citizen. Then he or she should have completed the age of 35 years. Now coming to the conventions that have been developed while appointing a governor, know that he or she should not be from a state where they are appointed as governor. Then while appointing the governor, the president is required to consult the chief ministers of the state concerned. Second side heading, conditions of office. See, the governor cannot be a member of Lok Sabha nor Rajya Sabha. If he has been a member of either of the house, then the governor should vacate the seat on the first day when he or she enters the office of governor. Know that the governor should not hold any office of profit, and for the residence purpose, Raj Bhavan is provided to the governor without the payment of rent. Then know that Parliament decides the emoluments, allowances and privileges of the governor. When a governor is responsible for 2 or more states, the emoluments and allowances payable to the governor are shared by the states in such a proportion determined by the President of India. Here, the Parliament cannot diminish the allowances or emoluments during the term of office of governor. Now, coming to the immunity, know that the governor enjoys personal immunity from legal liability for his official acts. And during the term of office, even in respect of personal acts, the governor is immune from any criminal proceedings. This means the governor cannot be arrested or imprisoned for any criminal acts that are done by him when he or she holds that office. It does not mean that no action will be taken. Normally what happens is the governor will be removed from the post and then the government will initiate the proceedings. But when the accused person holds the governorship post, then no criminal action can be taken. That is what this immunity is all about. But in case of civil proceedings, know that civil proceedings can be instituted against the governor during the term of office itself, but only after giving 2 months of prior notice. And know that the oath of office of the governor is administered by the Chief Justice of the concerned High Court. If you take the term of office of the governor, know that he or she holds the office for a term of nearly 5 years, but this term is subjected to pleasure of the president. And know that the constitution has not laid down any grounds for removal of the governor by the president. Then if you take the constitutional discretion of the governor, see, the governor can dismiss the legislative assembly, but it is only when the chief minister advises him to do so. And following a vote of no confidence also, if the governor finds that no party or group of members inside the assembly holds majority, then the governor can take decision to dissolve the assembly. Then the governor can also recommend the president about the failure of constitutional machinery in the state. This is related to Article 356. Thirdly, the governor can reserve a bill passed by the state legislature for president assent. Then fourthly, the governor can appoint anybody as chief minister if there is no political party with a clear-cut majority in the assembly. Then know that another constitutional discretion is that the governor determines the amount payable by the government of Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram to autonomous tribal district council. The money that are raised through the issue of licenses for mineral explorations are paid as royalty to these autonomous district councils. Then the governor has the power to seek information from the chief minister with regard to administrative and legislative matters of the state. Final point is that the governor can refuse to sign to an ordinary bill passed by the state legislature. This final point is where the conflict between the chief ministers and the state governor arises. And finally, the article also talks about the Article 200 of the Indian Constitution. This article of Indian Constitution is with respect to the bill introduced in the state legislature. According to this article, the governor performs 4 actions when a bill passed by the state legislature is presented to him. First is the governor can give assent or the governor can withhold the assent. Third thing, the governor can return the bill for reconsideration. Or fourth action is that the governor can reserve the bill for the consideration of the president. See, the first action which I mentioned here, that is giving assent, leads to smooth functioning of government machinery. So that is not a problem here. But the all other actions or inactions from the governor invite criticisms from the ruling party in the state. In this news article we are discussing above, the governor is using the second provision of withholding the assent to the bill. So here the bills that are passed by the representatives of the people in the assembly are unable to become an act because of such inaction from the governor. And if we take the reservation of bill for the consideration of president, see, as per the Article 200, the governor can reserve certain types of bills passed by the state legislature for the president's consideration. Then the president can either give assent to the bill or ask the governor to send it back to the state legislature and reconsider it. But the intention behind this provision is that the center can check on the state legislation in the interest of the nation. But however, the central government through the office of governor is using this provision to serve some partisan interest. So this is why the office of governor is constantly under criticism. And in this discussion, we saw about the role of the governor, the conditions of office, and also about the discretions and special reference to Article 200. So with this, let us close this news article discussion and move to the second news article. Moving to the second topic, House panel on tribal affairs apprehensive about PMPBTG outlay without population data. See, the government of India in its 2023 budget came up with a scheme titled Prime Minister's Particularly Vulnerable Tribal Groups Development Mission. And now, as a way forward, the Finance Minister has announced an expenditure outlay of 15,000 crores for this mission. Although such high volume of funds have been released to ensure social justice, the Standing Committee on Social Justice and Empowerment is unhappy with it. Because there is no data on PBTGs in several states and union territories in order to make use of this fund effectively. So, the utilization of such high volume of funds by the Ministry of Tribal Affairs is questioned due to lack of data on population of PBTGs in several states and union territories. So in this line, let us discuss about the particularly vulnerable tribal groups and the issues and challenges facing the socio-economic development of PBTGs, particularly vulnerable tribal groups. See, PBTGs are the marginalized sections of STs of India. That is, they are the most deprived sections within the scheduled tribe community. If you take the characteristics of the PBTGs, they are a section who are relatively isolated, educationally and socio-economically backward, and living in a habitat which is far away from basic amenities. And know that PBTG is not a constitutional category, nor are these constitutionally recognized communities. That is, unlike SC, STs, OBCs and EWS, there is no category called PBTGs that is mentioned in the Constitution of India. See, this category is classified by Government of India and it is created with the purpose of improving the conditions of certain communities whose development are way lower than the average level. Now let us see the criteria that is used to specify a ST community under PBTGs. The criteria followed for determination of PBTGs are: first, tribals with pre-agriculture level of technology. Second is tribal groups whose population are stagnant or either declining. Third point, the tribal communities whose literacy is very much lower among other tribal sections. And the fourth and the final point is that the tribals whose economy is at subsistence level. So these are the four criteria which are used for determining the PBTGs within the tribal community. If we take the history of PBTGs in accordance with the constitutional provisions under clause 1 of article 342, the notification of STs is state specific and their identification is done on the basis of following characteristics like primitive traits, distinctive culture, geographical isolation, shyness with contact with community at large. But however, in the year of 1960s, the Debar Commission and other studies suggested that there exists inequality among the tribal communities itself. So, tribal communities as a whole are not homogeneous entity. Rather, there is a difference in level of development within them. So, in the year 1975, based on the Debar Commission report, the government created primitive tribal groups as a separate category and identified nearly 52 such groups. But in the later years of 1993, 23 more groups were added, making it 75 PTGs. And by the year 2006 only, the Government of India renamed this PTGs as particularly vulnerable tribal groups. So, as of now, there are 75 PBTGs in India, and among the 75 listed PBTGs, highest number are found in the state of Odisha with 13 PBTG groups, followed by Andhra Pradesh, which has 12 PBTG groups within it. Now, coming to the issues and challenges, first is incoherency in identification. See, the process of identification of PBTGs adopted by the states differ in its methods. Then, the spirit of the direction made by the Ministry of Tribal Affairs are loosely considered, as a result of which there is no uniform principle that is adopted in identifying the PBTGs across the state. Second point is related to outdated list. See, the Anthropological Survey of India observes that the list of PBTGs are overlapping and repetitive. For example, the list contains synonyms of the same group such as Mankidia and Bihar in Odisha, both of which refer to the same group. Then third point is lack of baseline surveys. See, the Anthropological Survey of India observed 75 PBTGs. But even after declaring 75 of them as PBTGs, the baseline survey exists only for 40 groups. This lack of baseline survey hinders effective implementation of welfare schemes. See, baseline surveys are done to precisely identify the PBTG families, their habitats and socio-economic status, so that development initiatives are implemented. So now there is a lack of baseline surveys for nearly 35 PBTGs declared by the Government of India. Then the fourth point is unequal benefits from welfare schemes. In some cases, a PBTG receives benefits only in few blocks in a district, while the same group is deprived in the adjacent blocks. Fifth point is the impact of developmental projects. In 2002, a standing committee formed by the Ministry of Tribal Affairs to review the development of PTGs shared that tribal groups, especially the particularly vulnerable tribal groups, are worst affected by the developmental projects like dams, industries and mines. Then sixth point is regarding the denial of land rights. See, PBTGs have faced systematic alienation from their resources due to conservation purposes like declaration of reserved forest and protected forest. For example, in the year 2009, 245 Baiga families were forced out of the Achanakmar Tiger Reserve when it was notified so under the Project Tiger. Further, despite the Forest Rights Act in place, habitat rights of PBTGs are still being disregarded in many instances. So these are the common issues which are faced by PBTGs, which is also highlighted in today's article. Here the article has also highlighted about the PMPBTG's development mission, but know that this mission is still in its beginning stage only, so there is no detailed provision about it. But know that the mission will empower PBTG families and habitations with basic facilities like clean drinking water, safe housing, sanitation, improved access to education, health and nutrition, then construction of road and telecom connectivity, etc. And now for this scheme, 15,000 crore have been made available to implement in the next 3 years under the Development Action Plan for Scheduled Tribes. So this is all about this news article. In this news article, we saw about about the PBTGs and also the issues concerning them, and also about the new scheme named PMPBTG's Development Mission. So with this, let us complete this topic and move to the third topic of the day. Third topic, Saudi-Iranian normalization challenges in the West Asia. See, the news is that two of the West Asia's major power, Saudi Arabia and Iran, have agreed to restore diplomatic relations in an agreement brokered by China. In addition to this, the two countries from West Asia has agreed to respect each other's sovereignty and maintain non-interference in others' domestic affairs. So the crux of the article has highlighted the Chinese influence in the deal and the role China has played as a broker in reinstating two previous accords, one on security cooperation and other dealing with economic, technical, scientific and cultural ties. See, there was a diplomatic estrangement between the two Gulf neighbors, that is Iran and Saudi Arabia, for over 7 years. The reasons were regional dominance, where both the countries were trying hard to enhance their regional presence and dominate regional political sphere. Then Iran turning into a Shia theocratic republic, where Saudi got more concerned relating to Iran's mobilization of Shia community in the West Asia region. Then the ideological difference is also one of the reasons for diplomatic estrangement. Further, their role collapsed in 2016 after the Saudi embassy in the capital of Iran was overrun by protesters. This was because of Saudi Arabia's execution of a revered Shia cleric in their country. Then during the same period, they have confronted each other in proxy wars in Syria and Yemen. Then they even carried out media campaigns targeting each other. Then the extraordinary mutual hostility, often on a sectarian basis, also led to direct conflict, particularly in the year 2019, when Saudi Arabia oil facilities were attacked by Iranian agents. But however, now under Chinese mediation, they have agreed to start a new beginning. And then if we take the terms of the condition of agreement, according to the reports, Iran has agreed to prevent further attacks against the Saudi Arabia, especially those from Houthi-controlled parts of Yemen. And in turn, the Saudi Arabia has decided to regulate Iran International, which is critical of Iranian regime. Iran International is a news channel which is critical of the Iranian regime. And in addition to it, know that China is also planning to host a cross-Gulf conference of Iran and 6 other Gulf monarchies in the region. So China is planning to further strengthen its presence in the West Asian region. So from Chinese involvement in the West Asian region and the endorsement of Chinese presence by the West Asian countries, it is confirmed that the Arab states would like to pursue their interest even without US involvement. But here we should know that Arab states are not wanting to cut ties with US completely. They just want to broaden their options and build alternative relationship to suit their interest. In similar fashion, it was the United States which provided a space to China to broker this deal, because Arab states straight away did not disengage with US, and nor do they straight away move towards China for peacemaking. It was the United States that was less enthusiastic about the regional security issue in the West Asian region, and US also lost its credibility in the region after its military failures in the Iraq and Afghanistan. But how did China replace the place of US as a security guarantor in the region? See, China has substantial energy, trade, investment, and technology related ties in the region. And secondly, it is the region's largest buyer of crude oil and also a major trade and investment partner to West Asian countries. Thirdly, China keeps expanding its role as a technology provider in most countries. So through these economic influences, China made itself to act as a mediator in ensuring peace and security in the region. Therefore, through this agreement, China marks itself as a major power in the West Asia, and now the presence of China and absence of US in the Saudi-Iranian reconciliation points to larger changes in the global order. But however, there are risks that are associated with the deal because West Asian region is prone to conflicts. If the agreement between the Saudi-Iran doesn't work, it would lead to a bad impression on China globally. But here we have to note the point mentioned in the article where the author says Saudi-Iran differences will be difficult to resolve. This is because there is a deep sense of strategic vulnerability for Saudi Arabia from its northern neighbors. To be precise, the use of Shia proxies against Saudi Arabia can lead to destability in the region once again. So this is what Saudi Arabia is also thinking. So for China to be an efficient security guarantor in the region, Iran should play a proactive role. That means Iran should refrain from mobilizing Shia powers in the region, and it should act as a pacifist in the region rather than being an aggressor. Only then the agreement could be put into action and the credibility of the agreement could be gained. As a way forward, the article has highlighted the need to rejuvenate or revive the nuclear agreement titled Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. In addition to it, the author mentioned about the management of Israel's aggressive behavior in the region. Here, the article has made the revival of JCPOA as one of the most important aspects by quoting the data from International Atomic Energy Agency, where it says the IAEA has found traces of uranium enrichment to nearly 84% by Iran. So these are the areas where global community should be more concerned about. Then this China brokered agreement that we are talking about has not only threatened the position of US in the region, but it has also posed certain challenges to India, as China strongly affirmed its role in West Asian affairs than ever before. So the author concludes that both India and China now should work together to further mutual and regional interest in the for both the countries. But however, for India, working with China has now become very much important because of its shared interest in energy security, free and open sea lanes, logistical connectivities, and above all, for regional stability. So these are the points which are mentioned by the author. So in this news article, we saw about the role of China and also challenges that China is facing, that it would face in implementing the agreement, and also about the challenges that should be overcome by India. So with this, let us end this news article and move to the fourth news article of the day. Fourth topic, a case for better electricity public hearing. This is a very short topic. In this opinion section, the pros and cons of online and offline mode of public hearing is discussed. Let us know about it now. See, first of all, know that planning and the operation of power sector have a significant impact on public. For this planning and operation of power sector, there is a separate body established called Electricity Regulatory Commission. This Electricity Regulatory Commission performs few functions like regulating the tariffs of power generating companies owned by central government. Secondly, the ERC regulates the tariff of power generating companies other than those that are owned by central government. Then the ERC also determines the tariff for interstate connectivity transmission of electricity. But before taking all these decisions on tariffs, the Electricity Regulatory Commission opts for public hearing so that citizens' voices are incorporated in a proper way in power sector decisions. See, initially before the pandemic, the ERC used to opt for public hearing in offline mode. But after the pandemic, public hearing began to be done through online mode, which posed few challenges to the common people. As a result, the Central Electricity Regulatory Commission recently issued a public notice where it announced that hearing would resume through in-person mode. That is, hearing hereafter would be done through offline mode. So in that context, let us discuss in detail about the pros and cons of offline as well as online mode of hearing, which is mentioned in the article. And then let us see what the author is suggesting. See, we already saw, right, the most important and popular public hearing held by the ERC deals with tariff revision. The article firstly describes the advantages of offline public hearing. It says that in-person mode of public hearing allows for meaningful interactions and cross-learning between various sector actors. That is, it says two-way interaction is possible through offline mode. And moreover, it helps to build consumer networks through peer-to-peer conversation and thereby enabling collective action. In addition to it, the article says more complex problems could be discussed in a better way through offline mode, and so in-person hearing aids public consultation on matters that needs greater understandings of the problem. Besides the tariff revision, other general problems concerning the quality of supply could also be discussed, and the offline mode could also lead to corrective measures getting evolved. But at the same time, the issues such as distance, where people need to travel long way to register their opinions, logistics of transport, cost associated with it, or lack of financial support are factors that hinders participation in offline mode of public hearing. So these are the pros and cons of offline mode of public hearing. Now coming to the online mode of public hearing, see, facilitation centers that provide a live streaming features were set up by ERC for smooth functioning of e-public hearing. And moreover, significant infrastructure for online hearing has been built by institutions and individuals. Through this feature, author says access, visibility and transparency of the public hearing got established through online mode of public hearing. But in spite of it, there are certain challenges that people are facing while attending the online public hearing. They are like poor internet connections, technical mishaps, and the use of complex platforms and applications of ERCs, which are causing difficulties to people who want to participate in public hearing. But here, considering the pros and cons of both the offline and online mode of public hearing, the author of this article has suggested the way forward. The article suggests for the provision of online mode in addition to in-person hearing. This is because she says online mode provides convenient avenue for consumer engagement and impacts meaningful interactions, while the offline mode ensures transparency and accountability in the operations. So, as a cumulative effect, integration of both online and offline mode of public hearing would strengthen public participation. Finally, the author concludes by citing an example of National Green Tribunal, which provides that is the online hearing facility in addition to the in-person hearing. So this is what the article has to say. So with this, let us close this news article discussion and move to the final topic of the day. Fifth and the final topic, RBI has permitted banks from 18 countries to trade in rupees, says Center. The news is that the Reserve Bank of India permitted banks from nearly 18 countries to open special Ostro rupee account to settle payments in Indian rupee. So from this news, it is clear that domestic and foreign authorized dealer banks will now be able to open special Ostro rupee accounts for settling payments in Indian rupees. See, the Union Minister of State for Finance had informed this news in Rajya Sabha, where he also quoted the list of 18 countries in which authorized dealer banks are empowered to settle payment in Indian rupees. The countries which he listed are Botswana, Fiji, Germany, Guyana, Israel, Kenya, Malaysia, Mauritius, Myanmar, New Zealand, Oman, Russia, Seychelles, Singapore, Sri Lanka, Tanzania, Uganda and UK. So from prelims and mains angle, Let us know about this in detail. See, we saw right the RBI allowed for international trade settlement in Indian rupees. This is where trade settlement in rupee comes in. So instead of paying and receiving US dollars, the invoice will be made in Indian rupees if the counterparty has a rupee vostro account. Now coming to the significance of this move, the first is RBI's move will make much easier for Indian exporters and importers to trade with countries like Russia and Iran, which are facing difficulties in invoicing trade in US dollars. And secondly, with global inflation and other factors like Russia-Ukraine conflict and its impact on global food and energy prices, the US dollar will strengthen further, leading to weakening of INR. So because of this, we will have to pay more dollars against the import of goods. And moreover, weakening rupee leads to high imported inflation in India. So now by this RBI move, it would largely lower the demand for foreign exchange for settling the current account related trade flows. Thirdly, this move would help the INR as a currency of choice for trade among India's major economic partner, and thereby Indian rupee could also be recognized as a global currency. And then fourthly, since India runs a trade deficit, settling trades in rupees will also save dollar outflows. Then the move could also assist India's exporter in collecting advanced payments in Indian rupees from their overseas clients. So the move could have a favorable long-term influence on regional nations that are wanting to trade with India. Now, if we take the concerns dealing with the issue, accepting rupee will be very difficult in the global trade protectionism and geopolitical rivalries that are prevailing, as each countries would want to promote export and reduce their imports. Then invoicing in Indian rupee and not depending on US dollar may also upset India's relationship with the United States. The third point is that the move from RBI will also have indirect impact on services sector, for which we are dependent on developed markets like US and Europe. Then India's share in global trade is not that significant enough, and moreover we are dependent for imports of fossil fuels, edible oils at a quite large level. So it is unlikely that exporting countries will consider India's rupee as a currency of invoicing unless it suits their interest. Then finally, the international trade transaction to be settled in Indian rupee needs to be analyzed from bilateral trade equilibrium in order to understand their potential scope and scale. So these are the few points that are related to significance and concerns associated with the RBI's move. So with this, let us close the news articles discussion and let us move to the previous year prelims question discussion now. Now coming to the previous year prelims question discussion. See, this question was asked in the year 2022 prelims. Considering the first question, biorock technology is talked about in which one of the following situations? The options given are option A, restoration of damaged coral reefs, option B, development of building materials using plant residues, option C, identification of areas for exploration or extraction of shale gas, option D, providing salt licks for wild animals in forest or protected areas. See, the biorock technology got originated in the year 1976, and this technology has been successfully applied to fish and shellfish mariculture. As well as this technology was used for growing limestone, which supports growth of coral reefs. So the correct answer for this question is option A, restoration of damaged coral reefs. And know that by growing limestone breakwaters, this biorock technology helps in protecting islands and coastal areas from erosion and rising sea levels. Now coming to the second question, the Miyawaki method is well known for the which of the following four options given? Option A, promotion of commercial farming in arid and semi-arid areas. Option B, development of gardens using genetically modified flora. Option C, creation of mini forest in urban areas. Option D, harvesting wind energy on coastal areas and on sea surfaces. See, through Miyawaki method, urban forests are created. That is, Miyawaki is an afforestation method which is based on the work of a Japanese botanist named Akira Miyawaki in the 1980s. And through this technique, that is through this Miyawaki technique, layers of forest such as shrubs, trees, canopies, are planted on small plots of land, turning them into tiny forest. And know that in this Miyawaki technique, various native species of plants are planted close to each other so that uh, the green patches receive sunlight only from the top and grows upward rather than sidewards. So as a result, plantation becomes nearly 30 times denser and grows at a very fast rate. So the answer for this question is creation of mini forest in the urban areas. Option C is the right answer. Then now coming to the mains practice question, consider this question. Discuss the economic significance and concerns associated with international trade settlement in rupees. The aspirants can take note of this question. You can write the answers and post it in the comment section for peer review. So with this, we have come to the end of the news articles discussion. So let us wind up the session. And if you understand the way I teach and if you can uh, understand the concepts well, please like, share, and subscribe to ForumIAS in various social media platforms for further updates. So thank you for listening and have a good day.